Spider-Man, Spider-Man, friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. Wealth and fame, he's ignored. Action is his reward to him. Life is a great big bang. Wherever there's a hang, you'll find the Spider-Man.
Hey everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to Paws On Animation and our podcast.
And today we're covering the 1967 Spider-Man series. You believe it?
Yeah, this is actually the first ever animated Spider-Man series, and it takes the simple formula of Spidey following the plans of various villains with actions and laughs. And I'm sorry, it was lots of laughs. But at least in season 1. Season 2 just turns into an entirely different show with new villains every episode, some of them absolutely unbelievable and ridiculous.
Yeah.
However, the show was used in various memes years later, and the newest Spider-Man animated series. Best of all, we wouldn't have any of the series we have without Spider-Man 67.
That's true.
But
before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, and notifications for the future podcasts and one of Paws videos.
Thank you so much for joining us today, subscribing, sharing videos, commenting, everything you do specials. We appreciate you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Yes.
This is the Voltron 84 of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because we wouldn't have anything without this first series.
That's correct. And really think about it. Look how long it took for them to get to the 90s Spider-Man series. That's when they decided they would try again, decades later. And then again with Spectacular, they tried again a few decades later after that. And it's amazing how each Spider-Man series would take a long time at one point before they came with a new version. Now Disney puts one out every year if they can.
And if you haven't watched our videos on those, we've reviewed those too, as well as some other Spidey series. Take a look at them. We promise you won't be disappointed. Now, for those of you not familiar with Spider-Man 67, which neither of us were, it's a superhero animated TV series that, again, was the first TV series based on the Spider-Man comic book created by writer Stan Lee and by artist Steve Ditko. The series originally aired Saturday mornings from September 9th, 1967 to June 14th, 1970. Season 1 was produced by Grant Ray, Lawrence Animation with Canadian VAs.
Didn't know that actually.
And then Grant Ray, Lawrence went bankrupt, so the distributor Krantz Films took over production, with animator Ralph Bakshi flying back and forth between Toronto and New York City, where Gray Morrow was working on the art. Now it makes a lot more sense why things went haywire seasons 2 and 3.
Yeah.
The first 2 seasons aired on the ABC TV network, and the third was distributed in syndication, believe it or not.
Okay.
And that's the one that has lasted long, and we'll tell you a little more about that in a bit.
Yes. So, after we had finished the 90s series, Mama decided, hey, why don't we see how was the original series, because they had a few much older ones that came before the 90s one. Now, one show was harder to get, I think, for Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends because of things that were okay to depict at the time. That one has become a harder series to find to watch. So we ended up going with the series prior to that with the 60s one. And we only knew about it because this is what we've seen become memes online for years. They use frames from it, they put their own captions. Even Josh Keaton has read a few of them himself to get in on the fun. And he'll pretend he's been the voice for decades.
So, for this particular series, the narration was done by Bernard Cohen, with the theme music composed by Paul Francis Webster and Bob Harris. That opening theme, Spider-Man, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can. Everyone knows that, very familiar with it. And smartly, the opening and closing themes are exactly the same. They were smart. Hey, it's winning, it's working, we paid for it, let's keep with it.
Yeah.
And all these decades later, everyone knows it, and it became infamous for the parody done in the first Simpsons movie with Spider Pig.
Yes, Spider Pig. Spider Pig does whatever a Spider Pig does.
And that was composed by Ray Ellis. So as we mentioned, there were 3 seasons, 52 episodes with a total of 77 segments.
Yeah.
Some seasons later had only one large episode instead of a
Yes.
segment. So it got really weird.
Yes. The format kept changing as it went on. So it's like you were watching a different show every season. Now, I have to say, with the first season, we say it's the best, not just because it was the beginning, and it's where all of those meme pictures came from, but it's the most that it felt like Spider-Man, where he has a villain of the week, he has to stop him, they have some very bizarre plan for stealing or world domination or just to screw Spider-Man or something, and it would be funny. And the most hilarious part is that when he starts to fight these characters, and he has the strangest poses when he fights them or he's walking, and sometimes they recycle the animation, which they start doing a lot later. But in the beginning, he makes these weird poses and things. You're like, is something wrong with you, Spider-Man?
Yes, there was something wrong every season, especially season 3. We'll get into that in a moment. Now you can see that confidence in this series began to wane. The first season had 20 episodes, airing between September 9, 67 and January 20, 68. Then season 2, it dropped down to 19 episodes, airing September 14th of 68 to January 18th of 69. Then season 3, they said, the heck with this crap, this is dull.
Yeah.
13 episodes, airing March 22nd, 1970 to June 14, 1970.
Yeah.
And as you watch season 3, you can see that everything just went to the dogs. There's no other way to put it.
Yeah,
It was the worst season ever. So let's start with season 1.
Right.
Season 1, as you mentioned, had a cavalcade of villains. You got to meet this version of Aunt May, who is elderly.
Right.
And she has a Forest Hills home. And in this version, Peter Parker is supposed to be a teenager. But when you see him, he looks like he's 35.
Yeah, which is probably why when they did the 90s one, they decided to put him in college, and it'll never happen again, but at least you can say that, hey, he looks like an adult, well, let's just make him an adult and put him in college. It's like, well, at least you made that fit. You knew he was a grown man. Here, it's like, your voice doesn't match what you're doing and where you're going, Spidey. And Spidey also narrates the episodes each time. He's constantly either monologuing or telling the audience what he's doing. And from what you told me, the voice actor used to be a radio show host. So it actually came through and it fit for the show because since he was narrating his adventures, it felt like a type of show you could watch like a radio drama. Even if you never saw any animated footage, you were just hearing it in the audio format only, you could buy that this would be a radio drama series, and not just an animated one. So I think that actually ended up working in its favor.
We'll tell you more about the voice cast, even though you may not be familiar with any of them, possibly one or two, and I think just about all of them have passed, unfortunately. But we believe in giving credit to the VA, so we're going to do that in a bit. So in the first season, you had a lot of animation errors. You had some of the most ridiculous villains you've ever heard of, and none you've ever heard of. But the thing that made it enjoyable to watch was the campiness of it was fun. You were laughing at it, but you were laughing with Spider-Man. You were enjoying the campiness and the craziness, and him having the dialogue in the first season actually worked very well. Because you didn't have to guess what he was thinking, because he was constantly talking and dialoguing. You knew exactly what he was thinking. Not only when he wasn't fighting, not only when he was in his day-to-day slice of life, but also after he fought, while he was swinging, when he was eating, before he went to sleep, if he went to the bathroom.
Every waking thought.
Yes. And at first it seemed strange, but again, as you went along watching season 1, you became familiar with it. You were comfortable with that and the narration, and it became a fun watch. We were looking forward to watching each episode. You also had a version of Jameson in here that really became the standard by which almost every Jameson has been patterned after.
As you said, this Jameson's a psycho.
And
It's one of the extreme versions. You're absolutely right. Because every time that there is some incident or crime or suspicious activity, the first thing Jimmy says, Spider-Man's behind this. Spider-Man is behind us.
Yes.
Like you are seeing photographic evidence of Goblin or Rhino or Electro or somebody doing something. Spider-Man must have teamed up with him. Spider-Man must have framed him for this. Spider-Man went and covered his tracks. It's like everything, every crime out there is done by Spider-Man.
Even in one episode when Spider-Man actually saves his life, he's not grateful.
No,
and he still wants him putting and he still wants to put in the paper that he's a villain. And all we kept thinking about is Ben 10, threat or menace.
You decide.
Yes. And nothing that Spider-Man did helped Jameson to see him in a different light.
No.
First season he was just a criminal.
Crazy.
And that was it.
That thing is that they use this later, even one of the later animated series where a giant asteroid or something almost crashed in the earth and the Hulk stopped it, and then Jameson said, another Spider-Man plot foiled by the heroes. It's like, how did Spider-Man rig an asteroid to come to Earth, Jameson? How did he do this, Jameson? How is he capable of turning invisible, Jameson? Everything they did. Spider-Man was capable of doing all these. He was a criminal mastermind in Jameson's mind.
And no matter what happened,
And Peter just looking at him like, oh, you don't say.
In here, he also had a girlfriend named Betty Brantley.
Betty Brant.
Betty Brant.
Yeah, she was only in the first season, really.
Well, she showed up in the third, but we'll get to that because it was her and then it wasn't her.
Yeah.
But she was there, not Mary Jane.
Yeah, which was a bit of a shock, and she works at the Daily Bugle like Peter, and that's pretty much the only time you really saw her because the whole format was it started the paper, villain started something, he had to go undercover Spider-Man, he would get the picture, put in the paper, blah blah blah, the end, and that was pretty much the formula for the entire first season.
Right. So the first season, most of them consisted of 2 story segments per half-hour episode, although the 3rd and the 8th episodes had a single episode, but it wasn't segmented. The animation for the first season was produced by Grand Trade Lawrence Animation. Ray Patterson was the producer. Animation was performed by Hal Ambro, Bob Bentley, and Dan Bessie, among many others. Direction in episode 1 was provided by Grant Simmons, Clyde Germanomi, and Sid Marcus. And then, as we mentioned, Grand Trade Lawrence went bankrupt after producing the first 20 episodes, leaving another 32 episodes in the series order unproduced. And again, it makes sense why 2 and 3 were so disjointed.
Yeah.
Season 1, we're going to tell you, is the best of this series.
Yeah, it is.
You could watch season 1 and stop, and you wouldn't miss anything.
Yeah.
And you would be just fine acting as if this was the only season of this series.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's got your action. It's got suspense. We'll go over some of the craziest known and unknown villains that appeared in here.
Oh my God.
But they weren't as bad as some of the ones that appeared later that made absolutely no sense. You got to see some original designs for characters like Doc Ock.
Yeah.
Or he was called Dr. Octopus. Sub-Zero, the Lizard, Electro,
yes,
Mysterio, who looked totally different,
yeah,
the Vulture,
Rhino,
yes, and a robot.
Yes, it's just a robot.
That's it. The Scorpion, Goliath. He was looking for the Goliath diamond, which was a really funny episode. But you got where Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man, came from with the Sandman, because he was looking for the Goliath diamond.
Yeah.
And the Sandman, it all made sense where that art came from with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. You also had the robot returning again. Yes, just called robot. He was a giant metal eating robot. The Green Goblin, who in this version was stealing the Mystic's witchcraft book. Yes.
Yeah. That's...
hoping to control demons in the underworld.
Yes, that's...
And that was the first hint of things going strange in the latter seasons.
Even to the point where his animation was completely different from the rest, where he got his own stilted shot, and he looked more detailed and sinister than anyone else in the show.
Very true. You had Parafino, who worked in the wax
Like,
museum. As you mentioned, the Rhino. He was in there a few times. And then you had a one-eyed idol
Yeah.
who never had a name.
That's yeah.
The Phantom.
The Phantom.
Not the
of,
Phantom you know.
No, it's the Phantom of Fifth Avenue. Like what?
Dr. Magneto. Not the Magneto we know from the X-Men.
Yeah, different.
But it was the same name, Dr. Magneto.
Yeah, it's like, so there's two?
The Sinister Prime Minister. No, we're not kidding.
Oh my gosh.
And then you had the Night of the Villains, where Blackbeard and Jesse James appeared with Parafino.
Yeah.
And Spidey had to stop them. Was like,
what?
are you sure this isn't like a Western, an idea for a Western that you took and applied to here? You had a Centaur. You had Dr. Noah Body, who claims to have found the means of rendering himself invisible.
Yeah.
So the version of Invisible Man.
With that one.
The Fantastic Fakir.
Yeah.
The Flying Dutchman. Yes, we're not kidding.
Yes. That was a Scooby-Doo villain there.
And then you had Sarah Bernhardt, Lillian Russell, and Black Bull the Magician.
Yeah, like
who kind of were referencing Jekyll and Hyde. Go figure.
Yeah, and I think, like you said, the more it got later, the more it was like they were running out of villains.
The Ox and the Cowboy. The Spider and the Human Fly. Now, we're not going into detail in some of the others, but these, we just want you to understand just how crazy it started off.
Yeah.
Dr. Von Schlick.
Yeah, Oil.
Dr. Sameter.
Why? It's like, you can tell something's going wrong. It's going down and like, who are these people?
Fiddler. The Fiddler.
Yeah, oh my god. He made things explode when he played the fiddle. And we just like, what?
The one thing that stood out about season 1 we need to mention, we'd be remiss if we didn't. There were some stereotypes that appear in here that at the time were acceptable. Now they are totally unacceptable and totally wrong. And a couple of them were actually, regardless of who you are, you would find them offensive. You were like, you couldn't believe that these things were done in 1967, but they were. And we're very glad that they're not done anymore.
Yeah.
If you ever watch it, you'll see them yourself, but we don't want to dwell on them, but we need to mention them so that you are aware that these things do happen. And if this was airing now, those particular episodes would definitely be taken out and they would not be aired.
Yeah. They would have to be edited all together or remove the episode.
So as we mentioned, season 1's the best season. The way it ends, the series could have ended and you would have been fine. So, season 2, Peter goes to college. He still looks like, as we mentioned, a 35-year-old. Because for some reason in season 2, he loses half his hair. He has this huge receding hairline. And we now know why the animation changed. And it changed for the worse. You thought it was going to get better. Because the first episode did look really good.
Yeah.
And then after that, it just, I don't know what happened.
And it looks like it was meant to look even more like the comics. So they were trying to do a comic style even all the way back then.
Mm-hmm.
And for the most part, they did a great job. The problem is that when the characters have to move is when it starts to fall apart. Sometimes they'll just sit in one position and the mouth and the eyes will move and make it look like it's like a moving comic. And they'll basically stay like that and have the same thing up until it's time for the character to leave. You don't see their legs move. You will see them like slide across the screen because legs cost money to animate. And then becomes the biggest telltale sign of all is when he becomes Spider-Man and he starts swinging around the city, and there's a good 2 to 3 minutes of him swinging on shoom shoom ding ding,
and it's like Attack on Titan.
Going and going.
You don't see what the webs are holding on to. He's just swinging in the air.
And it's like you have to sit and literally wait for him to finish. Like he's going across the city, he's going left and right,
and they start using the same scenes over and over for the swinging. No matter where he is, you see it's the same background over and over and over.
Yeah.
So part of the reason for that is that Krantz Animation Inc. took over production for this season. And they turned to Ralph Bakshi to take over executive producing and directing the series. which involved moving productions to New York City. Now, Bakshi wanted a series that offered more attention to detail and allowed for a greater emphasis on character and plotline. Well, it didn't work.
No. Detail, yes. Plotline, no.
And the animation was performed by Clifford Augustin, Douglas Crane, Frank Enders, among other people. And Ira Turek, Lynn Carter, and Fred Halliday were the writers. Now, in this season, all the episodes consisted of a single story.
And went on too long.
The most standout one were two. The first one was the origin of Spider-Man, which was the first episode of the season. You find Peter Parker's bitten by a radioactive spider. He meets his Uncle Ben here. With great power comes great responsibility. He's taken out by a thief that Peter failed to stop. So you got to see the backstory as it was meant to be presented in this episode. And it was a standout because you got to see it untampered with and unchanged as it was meant to be seen.
Yes.
And that was a standout episode for that reason.
Right. And then they also started introducing lots of other villains, and I would say newer villains, ones you had never even heard of. The only one out of the old cast that really make return, I think, are Rhino, Goblin, and maybe Mysterio. They added in Kingpin, believe it or not.
Right.
And then after that, it's all original villains, and you can tell they were stretching to make this fit the 20-minute runtime, because you had to fill it in with him constantly swinging around for 3 or 4 minutes, and then when he fights the villains, they reuse and recycle animation there a dozen times. There are times where he's hit, he's thrown somewhere, he's flying somewhere, he's on the ground, he lifts a person, and the fight scenes make no sense. It's just like, okay, next thing you know, the villain is defeated, and they also take him to all these different locations that are not the city.
And he's like, what happened?
Yeah, and he just starts doing really weird things now.
And the second standout episode is actually the second episode called Kingpin.
That's it.
And here we find out that Jameson hired Peter Parker because he heard about what happened to his Uncle Ben, and he gave him the job to help him out. The one and only nice and kind thing that Jameson does in here. But again, it's great to find out how the story originally unfolded. Jameson gave him the job because he wanted to help him out after what happened with Uncle Ben, and he knew his Aunt May needed help. So that was interesting. As you mentioned, you got Kingpin in this episode having a drug counterfeiting ring. Now, in the first season, you didn't have anything like that. It was more mystical and ridiculous in terms of the storylines and plots, bank robberies and things. But here, they added something that was a little more darker.
Yeah, and then you get to even later, they start throwing in a bunch of magic. Lots of magic.
Yes. And then here you learn about Frederick Foswell, who's the Kingpin stooge. And you get to see Peter get into some really more, I guess you would say, harder crime storylines with this episode.
Yeah.
So after this one, it went back to the cavalcade of villains.
Yeah.
But again, the first two episodes were standouts because you got to see how his story was originally meant to unfold. And although it's been changed, adapted, and even in some versions, Uncle Ben removed entirely, here you get to see how it was meant to be seen.
Yeah, true.
You had the Master Technician, renamed the Radiation Specialist in a later episode. Yes, it's the same character.
Yeah.
Criminals in the Clouds.
Yeah.
And you have a star quarterback named Roy Robinson who becomes a criminal.
Yeah. For an episode. Who are you?
Menace from the Bottom of the World.
Yeah.
Where you get the Mole Men.
Oh, they do that 2 to 3 times, actually. First time someone tricked them, pretending to be the leader, and when they saw it wasn't him, they took everything back they stole. And then the next time the real one came in and had them steal again. It's like, so what was the point here?
Right. Now, episode 9 is where we get to that occultism and witchcraft with the evil sorcerer.
Yeah.
And Kotep the Scarlet Sorcerer is the character's name. And you end up having an army of demons and the underworld. And we're like, this doesn't belong in Spider-Man.
No.
What the heck is this?
No, all of the campiness of the villain of the week stuff, it
Mhm.
went away. Now
Yes.
he was fighting ghosts, demons, monsters. He was time traveling. He was going to the underground. He was going above ground. He was going to different remote islands. He went to El Dorado. Spider-Man just stopped fighting crime in his own city.
Exactly.
He just started
He was
fighting.
no longer your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
No, he just started fighting the occult all of a sudden. And this had to be jarring for people and kids who were watching it, going from fighting the bad guy every week and being fun and silly to saving the world from hell. What the heck is that about?
Exactly.
That probably is another reason why people stopped watching. It wasn't the same show anymore.
So we went ahead, we made it through this season, and we said, you know, we're remiss to try season 3, but we'll go ahead. And thank goodness season 3 was only 13 episodes because it went to heck. So Paws On Animation continued to produce the 3rd season of Spider-Man, with Ralph Bakshi still continues executive producer and director.
Yeah.
And other crew from the 2nd season still worked on it as well.
Yeah, you can tell.
And this season consisted of a mix of episodes with 2 story segments per half hour and single episode length stories.
Yes.
Now, since this was only 13 seasons, we'll quickly touch on some of these. The winged thing was the Vulture.
Yeah.
And then you had a superhuman alligator. You had a snowman brought to life by chemical reaction.
Yes, not a joke.
You had Desperado, a cowboy.
Desperado.
You had Sky Harbor, a gigantic airborne fortress.
Oh, gosh.
You had the big brainwasher. He gets hired, Mary Jane Watson gets hired as a go-go girl at a new nightclub.
Oh, yeah, that I don't think that belonged in there either.
No, it didn't. And this is the episode with the one and only appearance of Mary Jane Watson in the entire original series.
Yeah, and then she just doesn't matter anymore because Peter sure as heck doesn't date her.
You had the vanishing Dr. Vespasian, the Scourge of the Scarf. No, we are not kidding you.
And why were they half of these villains green so much? What was the deal?
The incredibly offensive Super Swami.
Yeah.
The birth of Microman with Professor Pretorius.
Oh my gosh.
Night Must Fall with Sir Galahad. We are not kidding. He's a villainous knight in here.
Oh my gosh.
The devious Dr. Dumpty, who was a Falstaffian criminal who uses balloon-themed devices. Yes, we are not kidding. He
These are
makes
real.
balloon animals. It was like SpongeBob's predecessor
Yes.
for the Mr. Bubble.
Yeah, for Bubble.
Thank you. And
Bubble
then
Buddy.
in 7 he goes to Atlantis. In 8 he fights Blue Giants.
Yeah.
Number 9A he fights the Rhino. In 9B he fights Mysterio.
Yeah.
In 10, this is where it goes completely to heck. It's called The Revolt of the Fifth Dimension.
Oh my
There's an
gosh.
alien scientist who escapes his home planet Gorth's destruction by Infinita with the knowledge of the entire planet
It's like, what?
condensed into a palm-sized orb.
What?
He escapes by spacecraft and heads to Earth.
Why is Spider-Man
He
dealing
gives
with
Spider-Man the
aliens?
library orb and the alien dies. Does this sound familiar? The Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
With
Again.
him being given that information on that
on the drive.
yes.
Yeah. Oh,
So now you know
man.
where it came from. And then he goes to the 5th dimension, and then fear makes Infinita powerful, and Dimension 5 is an illusion. Spider-Man closes his eyes and leaves the 5th dimension.
Oh man. Yeah, he was in a place looked like the whole world been taken over by cavemen or something, and he was losing his mind. He made that one expression like, yeah, I agree, Spider-Man. Looked like he was just like done. He was tired of this show too.
And this is also the episode where you began to see reused footage.
A whole
7
lot.
minutes of this was reused footage from the Rocket Robin Hood episode.
Yeah, you could tell because they're making the exact same expression, the exact same order, and some of them look terrifying.
Now, this particular episode we're speaking of, ABC never aired with the rest of the 3rd season because of the incidents of death, spatial creepiness, and great psychedelia in that episode. And yeah, it's really freaky, guys.
Yeah.
So in that place, they aired Sting of the Scorpion and Trick or Treachery in its place. It was that bad. The next episode was Specialists and Slaves. The radiation specialist was released from prison. This episode again reused footage from the 2 second season episode Swing City and to
Yeah.
Cage a Spider.
Emphasis on the swing.
And then Dr. Atlantean appears in a long shot in one scene.
Gosh.
And his head, fin, and pointed ears are visible.
Because who cares? No one's gonna know his back then.
And then in episode 12, you had Down to Earth. Yet again, this used footage from the second season episode Neptune's Nose Cone. And it was obvious when you were watching it that you had seen all of it before.
Yeah, it was.
And the final episode, Trip to Tomorrow, which was stupid, it ended up being a stupid clip show. Stupid.
Yeah.
Stupid. It was a dumb way to end this dumb season. And yet again, this episode used footage from the first season episode, Return of the Flying Dutchman, plus 2 second season episodes, Thunder Rumble and The Evil Sorcerer.
Only here they were more honest about it.
Season of the series.
Yeah.
If you decide to watch this, we recommend don't even watch season 3 unless you just want to laugh.
Yeah,
because it's
it's
absolutely
hysterical.
terrible. So let's quickly get to the cast for you.
Mm-hmm.
We have Paul Solis as Peter Parker, Spider-Man, Oxford Bakir, Vulture, and he, as I mentioned, was announcer.
Yes.
And his voice really fit. Season 1 was the best season because his voice was perfect and everything worked.
Right.
But you could tell that they asked him to change or tone down his professional sound in seasons 2 and 3 because he didn't sound the same. And that's unfortunate because the man had a great voice and they shouldn't have tampered with it.
Yeah.
CW, Disney, here we come. Bernard Cohen was the narrator, as well as Cowboy, Desperado, Magneto, Dr. Von Schlick, Plutonian Leader. Paul Kligman was J. Jonah Jameson, as well as the Fiddler, Lee Patterson, the hippie poet, and Peg Dixon voiced Betty Brant, Martha Connors, May Parker, and Mary Jane Watson. So pretty much she was all the women.
Yeah.
You had a host of uncredited semi-regular voice producers. I'm just going to read the names. We won't go through the characters. Since they never got credit, they're going to get credit here. Carl Bonas, Lynn Carlson, Vern Chapman, Jilly Fenwick, Max Ferguson, Tom Harvey, Jack Mather, Ed McNamara, Frank Perry, Henry Raymer, Claude Ray, Billy Mae Richards, Alfie Shelton, Chris Wiggins, and Jim Willis. It's really unfortunate they didn't give them.
Yeah. That's why the credits were so short when you looked at the end.
So this was released eventually on DVD by Buena Vista TV.
Oh, good for you, Disney.
Home video. Region 1, Region 2. In popular culture, during the Spider-Verse comic storyline, a variation of the TV show's universe appears with the designation of Earth 67.
Yeah.
The Spider Army recruit the Spider-Man of the Earth 67 in order to help fight the Inheritors.
Yes.
And in film, the Peter Parker Spider-Man from 1967 animated series makes cameo appearances in the animated Spider-Verse feature films in Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Miguel O'Hara, Spider-Man 2099, develops a device allowing interdimensional travel and goes to the beginning, with the universe also being designated as Earth 67, where O'Hara encounters the local Spider-Man with footage from the actual Double Identity episode being used.
Where it comes with the spider meme where they're pointing at each other.
And in a scene from the episode Double Identity, the pointing meme is where that came from. That's where it originated. So it's made I shouldn't say, a lot of impact on pop culture. And one more thing I want to mention, that this particular Spider show is all that the world had for a very long time.
Yes, for decades.
This show actually aired in syndication, originally and in syndication, from 1967 all the way to 2008, all over the world. This is the only Spider-Man series that was in syndication for that almost 40 years.
Yes. That tells you a
41 years.
Oh my
41 years. So there's no way this could not have an impact on everything that has come since.
Yes.
So again, watch the first season.
And
even watch the second season. But the third season, unless you just want to see the most ridiculous stuff you've ever seen in your life, skip it.
Yeah.
In 95, News Corporation and 20th Century Fox acquired the rights to the show and all of Marvel's other animated assets.
Oh no. Yeah, you know what that means.
So the chances of ever seeing this come back and air on any streaming service, definitely not on any network, are slim to none.
Yep, pretty much.
So, if by any chance you have seen Spider-Man the 1967 TV series, let us know in the comments. What did you think? Did you like it? Did you think any season was superior for you? We love season 1. Did you think Ridiculous of season 2 was unwarranted and season 3 was just should have never happened? Tell us what you think. If you haven't seen it, good luck finding it. If you don't buy it on DVD, that's probably the only way you're going to be able to see it.
Yeah.
But if by any chance you do decide to watch this, come back and tell us what you think.
Yes.
We really want to hear your thoughts. And again, we're telling you the truth about it. We're laughing at some of the ridiculous, but without Spider-Man 67, there will be none of the series and none of the movies and none of the comics that you read with the other stories, none of the spin-off series. None of it would exist without Spider-Man 67. So, thank you for creating this series, because without it, we would have nothing else that we love.
Right, and especially thanks because for Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man used a whole lot from here to make a new show and say it was new. Including
capturing the Peter with the camera and taking the picture. You'll see those pictures coming up.
Yes.
So yes, we owe a lot and a debt of gratitude to Spider-Man 67.
Yes.
So tell us what you think in the comments below.
And if you haven't already, subscribe for updates, reviews for your anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Yes, and thank you so much for joining us today. As always, you are our specials.
Thank you so much for watching Rascal Entertainment.
I'm Mom Entertainments.
Have a fantastic day.
You'll watch the Spider-Man.